Yo, what is going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to episode 3 of One Deck One Month featuring Swordsoul. Today is currently Friday, almost 7:30 as I'm recording this in the afternoon, and I just wanted to kind of quickly update you guys on how this past week has gone, and what we'll be doing today and going forward into tomorrow with the locals, and then beyond that and what the game plan is. So today's Friday, obviously I will be going to a friend's house to do some testing, like always, well, like most of the time I should say. And this Tuesday I didn't go to locals, so there won't be a Tuesday recap with this episode, and I didn't go mainly because I just didn't feel like spending the extra time and money and gas going there when I could get the same amount of testing done on DB, because I really just after episode 2, after week 2, really feeling down and out about this deck, and I didn't want to go to another tournament and waste time. Essentially, I just figured I could get that same amount of testing done, maybe a bit more valuable testing done on Dueling Book, and I feel like I definitely have done that. And another thing I wanted to bring up too, while I got you guys here, is that I actually just finished editing the first episode of One Deck One Month of Swordsoul, and I can't believe some of the abhorrent plays that I made, especially going over that Salamangreat replay and the Fanrite replay. Just so many small things that I can't believe I didn't notice when I was playing them out. Now, to be fair, I can cut myself some slack because that was like my first week with the deck, and yeah, it's just really rough to watch that stuff back, man. And I guess it means we're making improvements. If I'm picking out all these small little things, I am getting better with the deck. I guess that means I'm realizing these small mistakes and realizing better plays that can be made overall. And also, you guys saw me pull this card out of the binder just a few moments ago, the Triple Tactics Talent. This is a card I do want to test tonight over the 3 copies of the Heavenly Dragon Circle. We'll see how I like it, right? Heavenly Dragon Circle just seems like a really good card all around. I really love this card a lot, but I also do like the idea of playing Triple Tactics Talent. It's a very hand trap heavy format, and I'd like to get a good idea of which card I like more. Maybe I can find a way to play both of them in the main deck, but right now as I'm doing this recording, I'm kind of thinking it's like only one or the other, especially with the main deck space. I have gotten the deck down to I think like 43 cards, which is about right where I would like to keep it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to say. I'll go ahead and show a picture of the current deck list here up on the screen, just so you guys can see where we're at. This is the list I will be testing tonight. And again, the circles may become talents. The testing I was doing online, I actually decided to cut circle completely, and there was no talents in the main, just to get the deck count lower. So maybe I'll play neither, but I feel like talents is just so good right now to not play. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and get all my stuff packed together, and we're gonna head out and get some testing done. And yeah, hopefully we learn something tonight, right? That'd be one of the most important things. We just learn something. Also, one other thing I wanted to point out very quickly as I pack up was the idea of playing Emergency Teleport, because I've been doing the Chao Fang play a lot, and I really like that for light locking my opponent. But I really thought how great it would be in certain matchups to be able to make Chao Fang with Yazi, and for the life of me, I could not figure out how to do that with the combination of cards currently within the deck. But somebody pointed out in a comment on one of my feature matches that you can just simply do it with Yazi and an E-Tellied out Gamma. So it's a 2-card combo. You just need Emergence and E-Telly to make Chao Fang with a Dark Yang Zing monster. And I could just think about how incredible that would be against Despia, against Tri-Brigade, against Phantom Knight, against so many dark-based decks, DDD, right? So I kind of want to keep that in the back of my head tonight as well, whether or not E-Telly may find its way into the main deck. Because I did see some people at the YCS playing it. And speaking of YCS, I will be registering and going to YCS Hartford and YCS Niagara. So if you're going, hopefully I see you there. Some good news. So happy that IRL events have been returning. Hopefully they stay back. But yeah, I figured I'd throw that in here. So. Alright everybody, welcome to Saturday. It is currently 3:56 on April 23rd. We do got locals in just a couple hours, and last night testing went way better than I thought it could. We had a friend come over that really actually helped me out with this deck a lot. You guys have seen him on our channel a lot. C Goody, you've seen him playing Swordsoul, Tri-Brigade, Lyra Lusk, right? Very, very good player, probably one of the better players that I know, and gave me a lot of insight on not only how to build the Swordsoul deck a little bit better, but how to also just play it better in general, and gave me some really good, advice, so I can't really be upset at that. And the first thing was cutting Triple Tactics Talents from the main. Triple Tactics Talents is a pretty solid card, if you ask me. I think overall this format, I think Talents is good, just because everybody's playing a lot of hand traps, just because of the Brave engine. That's an engine that is so prevalent in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. You'd be crazy not to play a lot of hand traps to deal with it. And, you're just going to get caught in the crossfire if you're not playing the engine. Like if you're playing something like Swordsoul, for example, that doesn't play the Brave engine because it just outright can't, you're going to get caught in the crossfire, you're going to get hit with a lot of hand traps, and Talents is good in a lot of other decks just because you can punish the first hand trap by looking at your opponent's hand. I always think the scariest part of when I get Talents, it's not whether my opponent draws 2 cards. I could care less if they draw 2 cards. The biggest fear I have is when I hand trap them and then they go to look at my hand, because if they look at my hand and they take the right card out, it's actually just game over. Like, that's the scariest part about Talents. Some people always argue like, oh, well, you have to get interrupted first with Talents. Yes, that may be true, but there's 2 sides to every coin. You got to look at it from the other way around. If you can keep playing and Talents does resolve and you get to look at your opponent's hand, that's absolutely like game changing. But I don't think it works well in Swordsoul for one main reason. If I normal Mo-Yi, Tai-A, whatever it may be, and it gets hit with an Imperm, or it gets hit with a Veiler, or I guess Veiler and Imperm are like the 2 biggest offenders. Ghost Ogre, I don't really think has been a huge problem for Swordsoul, mainly because of the Tenyi stuff. Helps you play through Ghost Ogre like there's no tomorrow, like it's not even an issue. But dealing with Veiler, dealing with Imperm is also a problem. And you could argue also dealing with Token Collector too. Talents can only do so much in those regards. Like if I draw 2 after my Mo-Yi gets Veilered, like any Tenyi stuff I see is not going to be live. If I get Collectored, any Tenyi stuff I see is not going to be live because I have the Swordsoul monster stuck in field. No way to really clear it. And then you're just kind of dead in the water. You're hoping you draw into a Long Yun or an Emergence, right? You're only hoping for those like 6 cards in the deck, and outside of that, nothing else is really going to help you play past that with the draw 2. So instead of playing Circle, which the only reason we didn't like Circle, and I was actually able to sit down and talk to my friend, we compared both our Swordsoul builds, and we talked about all of these 3 cards, E-Telly, Circle, and Talents. The thing with Circle is it's great for dodging hand traps, but you do have to go minus when you don't get interrupted, and that's the only thing. Like, when you're not getting interrupted, Circle does like the least amount of things. But E-Telly is a card that we are playing in the deck again. These beautiful Ultimate Rare copies. Shout out to my brother for letting me borrow these. Hopefully I can pick up some collector rares today, even though I do love the Alties. I just, I don't like using them because they're just so nice, right? I feel like they belong in a binder. But the thing with E-Telly is it lets you play through pretty much every hand trap save for Ogre. But then again, you have the Tenyi stuff to let you play right through that. And then you also have Chao Feng, which makes it a non-factor too. But if you aren't getting interrupted, this card acts as an interruption in the backline, and it doesn't let you go minus either, which is really, really strong, because you can just draw phase, summon a Ghost Ogre, which is huge. And a lot of decks just have a very hard time against a Ghost Ogre. And this helps you out Token Collector too, because if I normal Moe or Tai, get a token, they collector me, I can E-Telly out a Ogre, and I can just Synchro for Yazi effect, target itself, and target the collector, out the collector, and keep going, right? That's like one of the best things. And then Yazi effect summons a Tai or a Moe, whichever one I haven't resolved yet. So we are back on E-Telly, only at 2 copies though, just because we don't want it to clog. And another change that was made too was to the actual Tenyi engine, as in regards to like the ratios. We're still on the 3 Ashina. We're still on the 3 Ashina, 3 Adara. We're playing 2 Vishuddha and 1 Chathana and only 2 copies of Cycle. And my friend brought it to my attention that Cycle is like an insane card. This card is absolutely incredible. It's like one of the best cards in the deck, but it does create cloggy hands. I can't really think of a better term for that other than cloggy. And I did experience that. I think I played like a lot of mirror matches last night. I also played against the new Agent deck too. But seeing this card in multiples is never good, just because like it's just completely dead, right? And it's only good in combination with another Tenyi, right? And I guess you could also argue it's good in combination with a Swordsoul play, but if your Swordsoul play is successfully resolving, like you're already in a decent spot and you don't 100% need this card. But again, this card is only good when paired with another Tenyi. The Vishuddha cut to 2 is something I've been back and forth on lately, and I don't like Vishuddha. I mean, I do like Vishuddha at 3, but I don't like it at 3, just because it's one of the most lackluster Tenyis going first. Like Adara and Ashina are fantastic going first, but Vishuddha really doesn't do a whole lot outside of just being a level 7 body. And also can technically out Collector too, going first if you need to, but I think outing it with the Yazi is probably a bit safer, just because then if it's engraved, you can banish it with Chenying, hopefully at some point. But yeah, that is that. The hand trap lineup changed, I think, just a little bit. Maybe not so much. I'm still on the 3 Imperm, the 2 Bell now, instead of it being in the side deck. 3 Ogre, 3 Ash, and 3 Droplet. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12. That is 14 going second cards in the main deck. Yeah, my friend Colin was playing 1 Veiler, and I thought this was really smart, because you can black out Chao Feng and search Veiler, which is the only searchable card that you can get that stops you from getting OTK'd by Access Code Talker, which is actually kind of smart. So I almost might drop Imperm down to 2 and play 1 Veiler, because imagine how clutch that would be. Before you leave main phase, Veiler on your access code goes down to 23, and that just completely stops an OTK. That's just a really smart thing. Like, yeah, didn't even think about that. Veiler is just like the only hand trap that you can search off of Chao Feng that can, you know, shut down an access code talker play, because you can just Veiler it on resolution or try to Veiler it before they leave main phase. And it's also a level 1 tuner, which pairs with any of your level 7 Tenyis to get you into Chijiao, which lets you play. And everything else is pretty standard. I want to quickly run through the side deck here. We are on 3 Gamma and 1 Driver. Insane hand trap going second, obviously. And also we have the double utility. When we side in, we can now summon out Gamma off of E-Telly and synchro it with Yazi to make Chao Feng with a Dark Yang Zing monster, which completely locks out DDD, Despia, Phantom Knight, even Tri-Brigade, because they can't use Shureg. So, and I think it's particularly great post-side, because I don't really ever see a reason that you'd ever make Chao Feng with a Dark going first. I feel like that's definitely more of like a side, a post-side thing. 2 DD Crow. This is a slot we really couldn't figure out. So we just decided on Crow, because we both think that Crow and Bell are very good. We actually had a whole discussion between me and like 3 other friends. Actually, the whole, you know, the whole group that was there, we all discussing what we think is better this format, Bell or Crow. And we came to the conclusion that Bell is probably slightly better than Crow, although Crow is no slouch. We decided to drop the twins for Lightning Storm. The 2 Mistaken Arrest will probably become maybe Macrocosmos and Called By, but I don't have a macro right now, so these are going to have to do the 2 Mistaken Arrest, the 3 Rivalry, and then the 1 God card in of the red reboot. So that is the sideboard right now. Extra decks were pretty much identical except for Herald. Although he was kind of in ingredients with, if you're already making Herald, you're probably already winning the game and you don't need it. And I like having 2 Boxia because you're going to make one going first for the Chow Fang play, and then you're probably going to need a second one at some point later on. But yeah, those are all the changes to the main deck. I will throw a deck list up here on the screen for everybody who just wants a quick screenshot of it. And hopefully today I can pick up an Alti Desires and some CRE Tellies. I think that is going to be the move. And that's all I really wanted to talk to you guys about. I'm very, very excited for locals today, like really, really excited. Last week, I was just not in a good mood, especially with how the tournament kind of panned out at the very end. I'm feeling much more confident about the play. Gonna try to have a big emphasis today on not conveying unnecessary information to my opponents with body language. And my friend brought this up to me as well while we were playing our mirror match. Because I summoned a Chixiao and I activated effect and he had Gamma, and I paused for a second and I thought about whether the Gamma was okay or not, and what does that obviously tell with body language or whether I say anything? It tells that I either have Ash or Bell in my hand because those are only 2 cards that can stop Gamma. And he told me afterwards, and I was like, I knew that, like, beforehand. I knew that you could definitely convey that type of information. Like, whether you pause on whether your opponent does something or not, like whether you have an interruption, you can definitely easily give that stuff away. But I really want to make an emphasis on trying to stop doing that, because I don't want to give other players, especially better players, that unnecessary information, which could then give them like a heads up on how to play around certain hand traps on the next turn. So definitely don't want to do that. But yeah, that's everything. Wish me luck. If I can find a Macrocosmos in time, I'll probably side it, because like, just imagine flipping Macro on a Phantom Knight player. It's gonna feel real good. But yeah, that's everything. I'll see you guys at locals in just a little bit, and probably gonna rip some Apex Legends in the meantime. Okay, everybody, welcome to round 1. Here we are playing against Invoked Dogmatica, and let's just go ahead and hop right in and sort of overview the footage, if you will. So, like I said, we're playing against Invoked Shaddoll or Invoke Shaddoll Dogmatica, and let me just get the option to speed up here if we need to. So I do open up pretty solid here. We lead with Emergence, and this is, I guess, kind of just to check for Ash, because I do have Tenyi and Vessel. So this goes through, all right, and we go ahead and activate Emergence. Yeah, scan for Ash, and then I normal the Moe here. I'm pretty sure... Okay, maybe I don't have Tenyi Vessel. Maybe I do have Vessel. Okay, so... because I couldn't really see what was in my hand, and I don't remember what exactly happened play for play, so forgive me. But I was gonna say, I thought I saw the other monster in my hand as a Tenyi, so I was gonna say it would have been incorrect to have led with the Moe. It would have been much better to go some of the Tenyi link into Monk, then resolve Vessel, Dabashina, add Vishuda, depending on the Tenyi I summon, right? But this also makes sense too. My opponent has the Ghost Ogre, which is perfectly fine. Like I was talking about earlier, Ghost Ogre with the help of the Tenyis is really just a -1 for your opponent at the end of the day. So I'm like, all right, cool. We're going to activate Vessel. We're going to dump Ashina, add Adara here. Tenyi in the hand first. Tenyi in the hand first. Don't disappoint me. Tenyi in the hand first. Because if I don't use the Tenyi in the hand first, Ashina... well, if I summon with Ashina from deck, I can't summon Adara from hand because you have to control no effect monsters. And to use the graveyard effects, it's why you control a no effect monster, not why you control only no effect monsters. So you're going to see me summon Shathana here, and this is so I can get into a level 8 synchro play. Because otherwise, you can't summon like a Vishuda and do anything with the token. You could do something with the Adara, but we can already get into the Chijao with the Shatana and the token, and we can just leave the Adara for a monk play, which will get us back our Ashana that we started this whole combo with, and allow us to sort of keep going. Another thing that I technically could do here, and it all really depends on what's in hand, this is kind of like a little Swordsoul trick, is you could use the Chijao and not search, because you can only use one of its effects, right? Either you search or you banish to negate something. But let's say I already had a Long Yin in hand, right? I could go Chijao, banish Moyi to negate the Adara, link the Adara into a monk, Adara effect, add back Moyi, now we have follow-up, and we have a monk on board, and then we can just Long Yin. So that's a little Swordsoul trick that you can do. I'm going to add Long in here. We're going to link. We're going to go ahead and activate Adara to get back Ashna. And then this is basically just free discard fodder for the Long Yun, which I actually do not use Long Yun here. I don't use Long Yun. I guess I don't use Long Yun here because I want follow-up. But I did reveal a Taiye in my hand earlier. Did I not? I did reveal Taiye. So I'm going to go out and say that was 100% incorrect. I definitely should have used Long Yun, discard Ashana, and keep going. I guess I never punished because I ashed Nadir Servant, and that ended up passing his turn. So that's a big no-no. And I'm not even playing around Nibiru at this point either by holding the Long Yun. That's just like, that's just like cowardice. Come on, you got to go for those plays. You got to act like Nibiru doesn't exist, okay? Nibiru and Token Collector don't exist. You got to put your board out there, and if they have it, they have it. If they don't, then like handshake, basically. So, yeah, because Moyu 1, Token 2, Ogre, Shithana 3, Adara 4, Chijao 5, Monk. Yeah, so we're well over the Nibiru range. I guess I was holding the Long Yun in case he Nibiru'd me. Right, before you leave main 1, Nibiru, clear the board. Okay, it's still in main 1, Long Yin effect. Make a Chen Ying. So I guess that's valid. But Nibiru doesn't exist. So, luckily, like I said, never punished. We're just going to make a Baron here on the crackback. And this is going to be game exactly. And this also kind of perplexed me. My opponent had a Shadal fusion. Unless, I don't know if Nadir Servant is worded in such a way where it's like Red Ice Fusion. Here. Also, as soon as this card resolves, you cannot special monster in the extra deck. So I'm pretty sure if you Ash Nadir Servant, you can still go into the extra deck. I could be wrong, but just based off the card text there, could have Shadal fusioned and gone for a play. How good that play would have been, I don't know. Let's go ahead and take a look at game 2. All right, so here is game 2, and I realize we can see my opponent's hand better than I can my own. This is just like an error of me setting up the camera. It's been a little while since I've had to set this actual camera rig up. So I think going into the next One Deck 1 Month, I'm going to try to sit on the right side of the table here because there's a much better view of the hand. And also for next week, I switched my camera to be on the left side, more towards the left side, so... because it would be much more helpful to see my hand than my opponent's, although it does, you know, kind of tell me if, like, making a certain play mattered or not, or if we correctly played around something, but I digress. So, my opponent opened, like, looks like Alistair, Ecclesia, something else I cannot tell, and double Invocation. So he's going to go ahead and normal summon Ash, and, or not normal summon, I'm so used to, yeah, normal summon Alistair Ash, I mean, that would have gotten hard punished there. My opponent does not use the effect of Alistair, which kind of tells me, you know, he's already got the Invocation. Which, if I do have any hand traps, like, it's not going to get a ton of value right now, especially if it is Ash. He's going to go into the Mechaba, Alistair effect, return. Okay, so I think I can kind of see my hand here. It looks like Ashna, Vessel, and another spell that might be Emergence, and a Moyi, I want to say. So that's a pretty stacked hand right there. That's a pretty stacked hand. Activates Ecclesia. Ecclesia effect is going to resolve. That's fine. I was hoping he wouldn't grab punishment and grab something like Fleur instead. But he does take the punishment, and he does pass turn there. So it's basically one Omni Negate here, a pop, or 2 here, and then anything else he has in hand is like as a hand trap is like. So we're looking at 2 to like at max 4 interruptions. Like if he has like a Fleur plus a Hand Trap plus Mechaba plus Nadir Servant, or not Nadir Servant, Dogmatic Punishment, right? So we're looking at like 2 known, possibly up to 4 realistically interruptions here. And I open up Shathana. So it looks like Shathana, Vessel, Adara, Moyi, and maybe Emergence. So I am going to go ahead and lead with the Shathana. Getting this into the graveyard, low-key kind of clutch. So like one thing I could do right here just to begin with is just go battle phase, attack into the Mechaba. This dies, Shathana effect, banish it, Monk, and then pop the Mechaba. That would force the Mechaba negate right then and there. Then we still have to play through the punishment. So it looks like, yeah, this is all going to go through. Then we activate Vessel here. Trying to, like, I guess, play around the punishment because, like, and this is a very easy way to play around punishment. You just need a Monk on board and you can do a lot of things. But I already have Ashina in hand. So we're going to dump Vishuda, add Adara. And, like, this is just so free, too. You can see how, like, all right, now we already have just an interruption here or something to break the board. And we can bounce back the punishment at this point, too, to also make sure it gets no value. Although, like, it's one or the other right now. He's either going to use Mechaba to keep the punishment, or he's going to let the, the Vishuda go through and put the punishment back, and then it's just an Omni negate, which is not going to be super hard to play through. And yeah, as expected, I am going to use the Vishuda here, but like you can already just see from this simple interaction how good Tenyi Vessel is. And, even if this, the Vishuda bait, like the Vishuda's removing an interruption regardless, right? So you have to look at it that way. And then on top of that, having Ashina plus Adara, right? Spec Adara, Ashina Vex, summon a Vishuda from deck. That's a Boxia play right there. That's going to attempt to, trade with another interruption. And it demands an interruption, or else it's spinning 2 back, plus it's an extender. And at that point, we haven't normal summoned yet. We haven't used one of our main extenders yet, and that of Longyun. So you can already see. And there's also here, I'm noticing, like, there's also potential for Shaman plus Shathana plays. Like, just really good things you can do with the Tenyi package to crack boards, to build boards. Such a versatile engine. So good. So we're going to activate the Vishuda here. And I do target the set. And my opponent could have chained it. Could have chained it to pop the Monk. And I feel like you definitely do that. You definitely like dump Apgalone and just get Monk off board. I feel like you definitely do that. I think this player might have been new to this deck. I want to say I remember playing Drytron in the past. That was a while ago, so I don't know how new he is to the deck. So like definitely could have, or maybe how new he is to playing against like Swordsoul a lot. So I don't know. But yeah, we have Otter in hand. That's gonna go through. Ashina effect in hand. Banish it from hand to summon from deck. We're gonna go get another Vishuda out of the deck. So, this you can also see we're kind of like had I, well, I guess not even if I would have drawn the other Vishuda, because I could have just summoned the Vishuda first and then activate Ashina to banish to summon an Otter from deck. So I guess it doesn't matter. Like, it only wouldn't really suck if both my Vishudas were in my hand. Even then, no, it wouldn't have been that bad. So yeah, we do go for Boxia here. Unfortunately, I don't have a way to chain block, but like, doesn't matter. He's gonna pitch the Alistair out of hand, so like that means this is gonna be easier to get over. He does banish the Boxia. And, we have another shooting grave now. Now we're going to commit the normal summon. And this is where we're like, okay, you got to have your third interruption. Otherwise, I get to keep playing. And my opponent does have the Nibiru. Nibiru does exist in this case. But, like, there's really no other play around to the Nibiru that I had. Yeah. Like, it's not like I had a long in play to make at the beginning of my turn. So it is what it is. And at this point, there is still stuff that can be done. It's not the greatest. If I have emergence net. Okay, so we do have plenty of stuff to keep going here with. That was definitely a lot. Like, that Nibiru was definitely way earlier than it needed to be. But, like, I'm just trying to think worst case scenario. Had we not had the emergence in hand, where do we keep going from there? We haven't used a Vishuda effect in hand to summon. We haven't used Ashen effects. We haven't used either of those effects. Some of them from the hand. So I guess what we could do is like activate Adara Engrave, add back Ashina, summon Ashina, link for Monk, battle phase, crash Monk, and then Chthon effects. Bring it out. I guess that really doesn't work out too well. Yeah, no, Nibiru there is like kind of devastating, but luckily we have the extender, right? Like Nibiru is always going to be pretty high impact against Nibiru. And especially like I feel like keeping Nibiru in going first is also kind of an uncommon thing, so like it's just kind of a weird situation. Well, like it's so easy to make Baron with this deck going first, like if you're really trying to respect the Nibiru. And you're going to see me here, Longyun is going to go ahead and discard the Ashina, and we're going to go ahead and summon Chenying. Chenying's absolutely huge at this point, and I can even use Adara Engrave. No, have I not used Adara? I already used Adara. Yeah, all my Tenyis are completely used at this point, because I had to use the Adara to get the Ashina back to my hand in the first place. So his Nibiru is down by 400, and I'm up by 400 because he has a banished monster here, and I've got 3 here, I believe. Yeah, then he's going to go ahead and pass turn. Has Wendy, has Punishment, has Invocation. So definitely has access to a fusion play here. How good of a fusion play it's going to be, that's another story. And I don't know what I have necessarily in hand for follow-up. So he's going to go ahead and activate Invocation. Banishing the... Or getting rid of the Wendy and banishing the Alistair. To go for Ragin... And looks like on the summon, in response, on the resolution of Invocation, Chenying will activate here since the card was banished. And we're going to banish the, I guess it'd be almost correct, more so correct to banish the Invocation. Or no, I don't think this would be on field at resolution. I don't think it would. But we're going to banish the Ragin and banish the Wendy. I think the Wendy effect should have gone through here. I don't know if he activated it or not. But I think he could have gotten his summon there. I don't know how much of a difference it would have made. He does get the Alistair back to hand, though, which is huge. Yeah, the Alistair was already banished. He gets another invocation anyways. And here... he could have also fused for Agodes. And Agodes just comes out, and I believe, unless Agodes has to pop a face-up card, which I love how I have to look this up. Do you think I should know this? There's something you can target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it. So yeah, he could have gone for Agodes here, 100%. Which is really strong because like it's an interruption. It's a way to clear cards on my field during his turn, and it's also an interruption on my turn. And I'm basically on top deck right now. I only have one card in hand, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. Taya, it's pretty strong, but into an Algodes, it's not super good, especially since he has punishment too. So he just ends up making a Mechaba, which I don't fully get, but, if they're new to the deck, they're new to the deck, because I'm pretty sure he could have made Algodes there, and that comes out, pops the set Chenying, and then he can boost it up to attack over the token if he even needed to. Yeah, I started just by flipping up Chenying, and, I mean, this is pretty much just going to be game right here, because we're just going to go Vishuda, bounce, the back row, and then Chenying is going to go ahead and clear... I probably should have bounced the back row, but yeah, that's actually just going to be a game right there. So really not too much to look at there. Pretty standard match. Kind of a good example of how good the Tenyi cards are. And it looks like I'm not sure exactly what I had in hand. Yeah, so I had Ash Vishuda. Ash Vishuda. So like the thing about that is if he does go for the Algodes line, I have to special summon Vishuda, and then Algodes is probably going to destroy that. and then I don't have a play. It's pretty problematic. So, I mean, I don't know if I could have done anything like differently to make it so I don't lose to Nalgodes. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now on the spot, but I don't see anything. If anybody has anything to say in the comments, like how I could have played that more optimally. Also, yeah, since Chen Ying was face down, that was huge too. This is a game we probably shouldn't have won, but we ended up just winning because our opponent wasn't super familiar with their deck, and the circumstances that they were in. And sometimes that just happens. So, happens to everybody sometimes. So, yeah, that's it for our round 1 match, and I'll see you guys a little bit later in the tournament. Okay, everybody, we just finished up our round 2 matchup. We ended up playing against Flanders, and then round 1 we played against Invoke Shadal. Not sure which one I'll end up going over in the final edit, but round 1 was pretty smooth. Felt like I played pretty well. Tried to respect Nibiru a lot. I could have long yen that one turn, but I decided to hold it. If he had Nib, I would continue in main phase with long yen for something else. So yeah, not too much to say there. I don't know why my opponent didn't use his Shadal Fusion. Was a little weird. After I just ashed his Nadir Servant, he just didn't follow up with Shadal Fusion. It is what it is, though. And then round 2, we played against Flanders. Lost the one game very, very quickly because I just played into the shifter too much. I put an Ashina on field. I probably should have just hold it since I don't think I was at any danger of getting OTK'd by the deck. And if I would have had the extra monster in hand, I think I would have kept going, had the right combination of cards. But my opponent also fumbled the bag a little bit. He definitely could have ended up having a really good board with M-Pen and Wind Barrier, but I did have Lightning Storm on the crackback. If he would have entirely cleared my board, he forgot to normal summon the Eaglin. And then when he went to play map, I just banished it, and he just, didn't have a play from there because he messed up a little bit. But it is what it is. Yeah, I got a little lucky there. Somebody who's more in tune with the deck probably wouldn't have made that mistake. So we got lucky, but I did have Lightning Storm for the crackback, and I opted him to go second game 2 just so I could have Gammas live and Lightning Storms for the back row, and it ended up playing out very well in our favor because he did not expect Gamma on Robina, and then he had Shifter, but we just proceeded to not care about that afterwards. So we are 2-0, and hopefully we can go 4-0 tonight. All right, guys, here we are in round 3. Really quickly before we go over our round 3 matchup here, I wanted to go back and address something that I was talking about in the round 1 match. I was talking about how to possibly play that more optimally to not outright lose to the Agodes. And I think we both messed up the chain links and how everything was ordered with the invocation into Ragin. And I want to go ahead and correct this right now because I don't think I properly addressed it earlier. But activate invocation, diffuse for Ragin, right? On resolution, he's turn player, so his trigger effects go first. So he would get the opportunity to activate Wendy. So that was on me. So Wendy, and then I would be chain link 2 for a trigger, which would be Chen Ying, and then he could chain Ragin to that. Because I don't believe I don't think he could go chain link 1. Wendy chaining 2 Ragin. Maybe he could. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Everything's still probably going to resolve exactly the same. Let's say it's Wendy 1, Chen Ying 2, Ragin 3. Ragin books Chen Ying. Chen Ying resolves banishing Ragin and Mechaba specifically, because if we banish the Mechaba Engrave, I don't know if that leaves him with a fusion. I don't think that leaves him with a fusion Engrave to be able to banish to even go for an Algodes, which is one of the only things that beats the board in that situation. And then his Wendy resolve summons something, and then he normals Alistair, gets invocation, and then he probably makes, I don't know, maybe another Mechaba. I honestly don't know what he makes at that point. I'd have to go back and look, but I just want to address that's probably how that should have played out. Because I know some people are probably going to correct me, and I was going to correct myself in editing, but I figured I'd just throw it in now. But this is a really cool match here. Playing against my friend Connor, this is this is a really interesting match, so I'm kind of excited to show you guys this one. And I'm kind of excited to go over it again. So this is Swordsoul versus Invoked Despia Shadal. This is basically just fusion pile. And I'm going to go ahead and lead with Mo Yi here. Reveal Longyun, Token, and I think... Okay, so I'm going to go Longyun, pitch Shathana. I think I'm going for the greedy play here. Remember, Nibiru isn't real. Game 1 especially. So we're going to go ahead and Synchro into Chi-Xing. We're going to burn 12. And then this is the draw 2 combo that I've been talking about. Or at least in the most recent test hand video I uploaded. This is that draw 2 combo. Then we're going to go into the Chi Jiao. So it's going to be Chain 1 Chi Jiao, Chain 2 Chi-Xing, Chain 3 Mo Yi. So draw, search. So draw, search. This one's with 5 cards in hand. One of them is Shathana that he knows. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get our double draw and our search. So I think I'm going to go for blackout here. Yep, definitely going to go for blackout since there's nothing else for me to grab. I probably already have follow-up in hand, at least I would hope. Yeah, I feel like it's almost always more important to have follow-up than something like blackout at the end of the day. So we're just going to set 2 and pass. And my opponent has Fallen of Albaz, Invocation, Branded Fusion, Magical Meltdown, Alistair the Invoker, and Ash Blossom. So this is another... I remember something specifically about this match now, too, that I'm going to have to bring up. That I was completely in the dark about for, like, the longest time. And I just, like... When I asked my friend about this, I was like, wait, I can do that? Like, it just blew my mind. Felt like I had been lied to for, like, forever. I don't know. It's one of those weird things. Like, your whole reality just changes. So... My opponent is going to start with Magical Meltdown. We're going to chain Chi-Xing, obviously. Get it out of here. Banish it. Take 12. Branded Fusion. Ash Blossom. Like, I see Branded Fusion. That's getting Ash 100%. Like, that's just game right there. But yeah, since the game was really quick, I'll tell you what the interaction was. So, the interaction is, like, I always thought for the longest time that if something like Magical Meltdown is up, or, in more modern cases, even though Magical Meltdown's still played, but with Branded Lost, if your opponent plays a fusion spell like Invocation... I guess Invocation doesn't work, but if they play like Shadal Fusion, Branded Fusion, whatever, right? You can Ash those under Branded Loss or under Magical Meltdown because Ash Blossom and Joy Spring does not negate the activation of cards or effects. It only negates the effects of cards or effects. Yeah. I know that sounds kind of weird, but that's just how it works. Now, that's the reason why you can't Ghost Bell Invocation under Meltdown, because Ghost Bell negates the activation. You can't use something like Baron de Fleur to negate a Shadal Fusion under Meltdown, because I believe Baron negates activation. Same thing with Boral Savage Dragon, it negates activations. If it just says negate that effect, you can do it under Meltdown, and you can do it under Branded Lost. I just didn't know that. I didn't know. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I didn't know that. But, like, you learn something new every day. Okay, so taking a look at game 2 here, my opponent opened up Meltdown, Patchwork, Edgem Chain, D-Barrier, and one other card that I can't tell what it is from this angle. But I really hope I didn't open Ash here because you're going to see what I just talked about come up, where my opponent is going to activate Branded Fusion under the guise of Magical Meltdown. And I hope that I didn't have Ash, because if I did have Ash, I'm not using it because I think that I can't Ash it because of Meltdown. And it's not even that, like, this was a foreign copy and I couldn't read it. Like, I knew what Meltdown said. I was just under the assumption that you couldn't do that. So yeah, I mean, if I had Ash, oh my goodness, there's no way this card just resolves. It's just getting negated, and it's basically... Okay, I have Gamma Driver, it looks like, Mo Yi Vishuda, and something else. Okay, so, yeah. Alright. It looks like I don't have Ash. And yeah, I cannot... And I'm trying to think if I can, Gamma this Albion here. I know it just looks like the sun because of the glare, but yeah, I cannot. I'm just looking at a translation of Meltdown right now, but yeah. And talk about giving away information to my opponent. Here we are doing that right now, but he's activating Albion effect on summon, so I can't respond to it with anything anyway. So He's going to banish the Hex Sealed Fusion, and he's also going to banish the Fallen of Albaz to get to Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. He's going to activate Patchwork, get Poly, and the Edgemp Chain. And he's going to normal summon Alistair. And I do Gamma here, because this is, like, I think probably the only point in the turn I will get a chance to activate Gamma. He's either going to let it go through, which means he's not going to end on another fusion, or he's going to discard a card, right? Which I guess is fine. And he discards Chain, which is also kind of insane. Or Patchwork for follow-up. And then he's going to activate that. And it also, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter they had it engraved, but he gets a dark. He has a dark either way, just to go into Caliga. So his board is kind of insane. And he also has D-Barrier set, which is just like such a feels bad. And I just scoop because there's just no way I'm outing that board. With the cards available. Like, Caliga's insane. Dragoon's already is insane enough as is. And he had D-Barrier set. So, like, next game, 100%. Alright, so here we are in game 3. This is where some things happen. Yeah, this is where mistakes were made. So we're going to start going first, obviously. Anti-Spell Fragments are probably in the side deck here. We're going to normal Moe, reveal Long Yun. Love to see it. Makes it very hard for your opponent to hand trap at the point. Like, all right, do they have the extender, you know? Well, this card for Long Yun, because that makes them, like, kind of second guess hand trapping it. Same thing where if you go Spec Adara, normal Moe, reveal. That makes it also very difficult for them to hand trap, because they're like, okay, is he going to just make Halka Fibrax, right? You know, because then you just link the Moe and the Adara for Halk and just keep going. Then they basically wasted a hand trap. They didn't technically waste it, but you know what I mean. So here, activate Long Yun, discard. I think I'm going for the draw 2 combo here. Yeah, I think I'm just, yeah, I'm going for it. I respect it. Better have Nibiru. Better have it. I mean, like, this isn't like, I don't want to say this is correct, but like, even, I mean, I could have led. Actually, this might be a situation where starting Long Yun means that I can't resolve Moe. What I mean by that is, like, if I only have those 3 cards, right? Like, if I have those 3 exact cards and everything else in my hand is like hand traps per se, right? I can't go activate Long Yun, discard Adara, Synchro for Baron, then I can't normal Moe because I don't have a reveal. I guess what actually counter what I could have done is normal Moe, reveal, get token, activate Long Yun, discard, get token, Synchro Baron, then Synchro Chi-Jiao. That would have been much safer. Hindsight, probably should have done that, but also at this point, since my opponent didn't Nibiru me, on the resolution of the Long Yun. Well, I guess that's 4 summons. Yeah. No, I was going to say, I'm like, if they didn't do it there, that means they don't have it. But that's not true, because that was only 4 summons. But yeah, I mean, super safe would have been just make Baron, then make Chi-Jiao draw, search. But I think I'm looking for side deck cards. And, you know, I get paid off here because it doesn't have the Nibiru. And, you know, also, if I have Vessel in hand too, this play I'm going to say is justified, because if I do get Nibiru'd at some point during this draw 2 combo, I can just Vessel, dump a Ashina, add a Vashuda, spec Vashuda, Ashina summon Adara, make Berserker, and then we still end on an interruption, or we can make Chi-Jiao for a negate, whatever we fancy. So Vessel can kind of act as a backup plan going first, which is really nice. So we're going to set 2, and we're going to pass. Do we have the standby? Oh, we do not have standby phase anti-spell. We do have draw phase E-Telly, though. I don't know what this does, necessarily. I was also ready to play around Collector, too, it looks like, if he had anything. But my opponent has evenly matched, which is kind of good. Kind of good. I mean, I think I'd chain. I do not chain Xixing here, it looks like. I guess there's no reason to, just because, like, I wanted to hold this for Meltdown, just because getting Meltdown off the field is kind of huge, but he has the Imperm for it anyways, which I'm going to chain. And then he has a Meltdown, so, like, he had to have exactly evenly Imperm to deal with that. Otherwise, like, if I banish this Meltdown, it's probably... maybe it's past turn, you know, I don't necessarily know. So, that is going to resolve and resuelve. He does have Brandon Fusion, he does have... yeah, so I do have Ash for Alistair, luckily. Like, that will, you know, make him lose a little bit of steam. And with this version, it's weird because, like, Alistair forces Ash, which makes Brandon Fusion go through, which is really strong because, like, if you let the Alistair resolve, they're just gonna make Mechaba, then Brandon Fusion is resolving regardless. You need 2 hand traps at this point. So, like, the Brandon Fusion, at least with this opening, like, if you didn't have exactly evenly Imperm, and even if it was Baron, right? Baron still gets negated, or Baron's negate still gets burned by the evenly, and then Imperm trades with the Chi-Jiao. And then I think the board's pretty much cracked, because I don't think Ghost Ogre does much of anything here, which is unfortunate. So my opponent is thinking on the dump now for the Brandon Fusion, and I'm just like, okay. This is not super bad. Well, I mean, it's kind of bad because my Chi-Xing is negated. I'm like, I can just banish whatever he summons, but also Meltdown's up, so we can't do that. So he's going to dump Hexield. And then he's going to go ahead and think on his activations here. Or, well, what he's going to banish for Albion. And I think probably going for Dragoon is, like, the best thing. And he goes for Mirror Jade here. So he's going to go for Mirror Jade effect on summon. Send another Albion. Banish the Chi-Xing. Activate Poly. And then he hard makes Caliga. I guess this also makes sense too because it gets him, you know, kind of a floodgate interruption plus follow-up, which is better than nothing. And the Mirror Jade has already been resolved here. He already used Mirror Jade on his turn, so Mirror Jade is not a threat on our turn because it's like once you use Mirror Jade, you can't use it until the next turn, like until that person's next turn, the person that used it. But of course, like Brandon, like Despia has a way to like ad-lib him, get it back. So since it's a new card at that point, so it can use its effect again. And I have Vishuda in hand, and that normally is pretty great. But like I need to out the Caliga, and we're gonna out it right now because we have a Longyun. Think was my top deck. Yeah, so Longyun, discard Vishuda. There's my one effect. Now I think I definitely think a little decent amount of time here on what to summon as for a level 10. But Baron I think is just objectively the proper play to make here. I do go for Baron, and then I do go battle phase. We kill the Caliga. There's my one attack, but I only have one monster, so it's fine. And I couldn't burn 12 because we already used Longyun's hand effect, and then we have Emergence Main 2. Protected, we grab Taya. We haven't normal summoned yet. Like things are just on the up and up at this point. And I should not have banished the Moe here. Okay, no. What is I doing here? Yeah, no, banishing Moe is actually a throw. What I should have done is banished the literally anything but Adara and Longyun, or Adara and Moe. So I normal this Taya, banish Longyun, get token, make Boxia chainlink 1, Taya chainlink 2, Boxia target the field spell, target the Mirror Jade, and then we dump a Ashina, so we don't have access to Ashina yet. So Ashina send, Boxia, or Taya send, Boxia spin both of these back. Oh, I'm forgetting a step. Normal Taya, banish Longyun, get token. Adara effect, add back Longyun. Then go for Boxia, then spin, dump. Then we activate Boxia targeting itself and Moe. Right, pop summon, Moe reveal the Longyun, get token, make Chi-Jiao, draw search. And that is not... Well, my opponent's at 68 because he did take 12. And And I guess while the Moyi token is out, we could Ashen to summon a Vishuda. And that is game. Like, summoning any Tenyi from Monk is just game. So I have game right here. But let's... Oh, man, I fumble the bag hard here. I fumble the bag hard. And, like, I can still make the play. I can still go for the Boxia play. Make cheese. Well, actually, let me rephrase here. I already used my battle phase, so we can't attack for game. I know somebody probably already went and left a comment. You can delete it now, because I caught it. I already used my battle phase, but it's the same thing. We clear everything, leave him on top deck, and we also resolve a Moyi in the process, which we're not able to do this route. Yeah, like, this was just, I mean, like, it works, but it's just not optimal. And I also just don't use Baron to pop the Meltdown, which is the only thing preventing me from stopping his Brand Infusion on the crackback. And that is a game-costing, match-throwing thing that you do not want to do. My opponent top decks Nibiru, lol. But he's going to activate Brand Infusion here. I'm like, yeah, can't negate that while Meltdown's up, because Baron does negate activations. Yeah, so what you're going to see now is my opponent getting away with something that, had I made a better play, he would not have been able to do. And that kind of feels bad. So, you know, but it is what it is, right? You live, you learn, and, you know, that's all you can really hope for, I guess. So, yeah, Baron does negate the activation. Yeah, I just wanted to double, triple check. So my opponent is, like, I can tell by his body language and things that he's doing that, like, he has plays to make, but can't necessarily fully crack the board and game me here. Does banish Baron, right? He does activate Mirror Data and Summon. It can't do anything about it because of Meltdown. It's a main card. Then I think he's resolving Patchwork here, and I'm just taking a look at Lubellion, which cannot attack. Can you use it? Albion's the one that can. The Lubellion cannot. He's just going to go battle phase. Yeah, so he can't attack with the Albion, the Lubellion. And just swings over the Chi-Jiao. Has evenly Nibiru Patchwork in hand. Sets the evenly. Yeah, decides to commit to setting the evenly. And passes turn. And now the ball is back in my court. I had opportunity to close the game out. It's like, not even doing the boxing route, just getting rid of that Meltdown would have been a game changer, man. You have no idea how much of a game changer that would have been. But top deck emergence is pretty good. Activate long or grab Long Yun here. I still have another Tai in circulation. Hashtag 2 Tai. It does come up more, I think. I have 3 cards in hand. My Baron is gone. My Qixing is gone. Chen Ying, the one who is still hitting, has to go, and we go. Yeah, so I had Moyi in hand too, and I discard the Moyi here because I'm like, okay, if I normal summon Moyi, that set is an imperm. Pretty sure I just lose instantly. Like, I lose on the spot. Yeah, and I think my opponent didn't search here because he didn't have targets or he forgot. But either way. And then we activate Ashin, which he surprisingly lets this go through. Which I was kind of shocked to see this go through here. And we're going to get to Vishuda, which is really strong. We go for Chen Ying, burn 12. And I think it's because, he already used Mirror Jade on his turn. He had to kind of help clear the board. And then we activate Vishuda, bounce the Mirror Jade back. And then Chen Ying effect is going to go ahead and banish. Not sure what I banish. I think I banished Meltdown. I'm like, get that off the field. And I was like, okay, I have to banish something from grave. I don't know what the best thing to banish here is. Hindsight, probably should have banished the Hexsealed Fusion. At least that's what my opponent told me. I decided to get rid of the Albaz, though, just because, like, I mean, I don't know. I was not familiar with this matchup at this point, as you could probably tell. And then, yeah, my opponent has Nibiru. I'm like, okay, it's crazy. And at this point, I'm thinking, like, this is probably just game. Like, I probably just lose. Don't tell me I just pass, though. I have Ashna Engrave. Hold on. There's no way I just pass here. Don't pass here. I need to see what's in my graveyard. Okay, so there was an Ashna in my grave. I already used it. Okay. This makes me feel a little better. Because if there was an Ashna in my grave, I keep playing. Like, 100%. I guess... Yeah, I mean, I think that's another long end down there. Oh, yeah, okay, never mind. I thought I made another big misplay there, but my opponent draws, turns his Nibiru to defense. I'm like, oh my god. There's just no way. There's just no way. And, yeah. I draw Moe for turn here, I think is my draw. Normal Moe, no effect. Battle phase, kill his defense Nib, and then attack with my Nibiru, which I think was like at 60-something, 100, and that's just game. We also had another Ash in hand. And, yeah, I think my opponent was like, you know, why'd you keep putting back the Mirror Jade? Like, I keep summoning it. I just didn't want to trigger its end phase effect. Like, that one turn there specifically, I could have just not have used Ashna to, like, big brain play around the Nibiru, which is probably the only thing that wins him the game there at that point if things go his way afterward. Hold the Ashna. Well, even just Ashna, I don't think a whole lot, because I would need another Tenny in hand. But, what was I going to say? Yeah, because I can just, like, Battle Phase Chenning attack over Mirror Jade, and then Mirror Jade effect end phase, blow up, Chenning effect, banish, follow up. That's also probably game, but, like, this game should have ended so much earlier. So, it's a small little things. Made Boxia. Boxia is a hell of a card. Have used Aurora to get back a card. Just didn't realize the setup was there. You just gotta, like, so many small little things in this deck that if you miss, cost of the game, or if you're like me, never punished in this specific example, because I've definitely been punished by 1,000,000 times, you get lucky. But, you know, already enough luck that kind of goes into the game as is. I'm trying to say the game's like 100% luck based. It's obviously not true, but, like, there is some luck here and there. You can't deny that. But why add more luck into you? Should have ended the game much earlier. So yeah, that is it. Yeah, that's it for the tournament recap. I'll hand it back over to me at local. All right, we are fresh out of the local scene. Yeah, so one actually important thing I realized in our round 4 match, which I am opting not to go over just because of how simple it is. We played against Scythelock PK, and that's no fun. Game 1, my only hand trap was Bell, and I believe he had a Fog Blade or 2 set, as they typically do, and DPE access, and I had Bell, and the way I understand it, I'm turn player, right? My mandatory triggers come first, then my opponent's, so Scythe is a mandatory trigger, so his Scythe would have activated, and then I don't have any mandatory triggers on my turn, then his, then optional triggers on my turn, which Bell is an optional trigger, so unless I'm wrong, I should be able to Bell his Scythe before he has the opportunity to potentially chain block with DPE's optional trigger effect, because I'm turn player. My optional triggers go first, then theirs. Luckily, I don't think it would have mattered, because I don't think I was going to play through DPE double Fog Blade. Swordsoul tends to have a hard time doing that, and he might have had hand traps too. But it's just something to know for future reference. Because I was thinking, like, you know, DD Crow is so much better for that specific reason. But if the ruling works out that way, then Bell does the job all the same. And that's really about it. Game 2, Rivalry carried us to the victory. He did have Gamma for my Moe. I went up like Moe, Vishuda, the Rivalry, and something else. I can't remember exactly what it was. But he gammaed the Moe. I just set the Rivalry and prayed, basically. He leads Deteli, we chain, and he's just locked into Psychics. He has the Tracker in hand because he summoned out Wielder. Pokes him for some damage. Next turn, the Moe resolves, and then we go into Chi-Ching, and the game is pretty much sealed from there. And then game 3, he goes first, Scythe locks me, and I don't draw a single hand trap. And that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. yeah, I already went over round 3 with you guys, which is a really good match. Still can't believe I forgot to pop Baron pop Meltdown with a Baron. Huge throw. Could have definitely cost me the game and could have landed us an X2 finish again. So those small interactions. But we're going to YCS McDonald's now. That's our next event. And yeah, I think I'll wrap up everything when I get back. I don't really have much to add. There's a couple things. My friend Adam actually ended up going 4-0 with his Swordsoul list. Our lists aren't too totally different. Maybe a card or two in the main, and then a card or two in the extra. Well, maybe I think just one card in the extra, to be totally honest. So happy for him. He won the Albaz mat. You guys, I already told you, but I still cannot believe I got the luck of playing against the Scythe Lock deck. I would have took the Despia matchup every day of the week. That's it. Alright guys, so it is just after midnight. We are back from the tournament, and I wanted to go ahead and just wrap this episode up really quickly and talk about some exciting things happening in the next episode. Yeah, deck list performed very, very well, and I think I'm going to keep it the way it is for now. I don't really want to make any changes to it. I just want to keep practicing with the deck and see where it takes us. I'll probably go to locals this Tuesday, play there, see how we perform, see if we can get a 4-0 there, and then see if we can get, obviously a 4-0 on Saturday, or 3-1, right? Ideally 4-0, but 3-1 I'll take, right? Beggars can't be choosers, especially if something unfortunate happens at the end, like what happened tonight, right? That's just out of my control. We could have the best build possible, we could play perfectly, and if we just don't see the cards we need to see, really not much we can do there. But yeah, next week we are going to, at least I'm like 90% sure we are going to a VIP qualifier for YCS Hartford. That's at Millennium Games in Rochester. So we will be heading out there on the 7th of May, and we'll see how we do. Hopefully we can get that VIP status. Gets you the first two, I think, first 2 rounds are like buys for you apparently, which is a really nice thing to have going into a YCS, really good head start. And it's also just good practice too. And eventually at some point, if my friend Adam decides to play Swordsoul for the YCS, we can start working together on making a build that both of us are going to play. And that's going to be really exciting too. Because there will be probably about a 1-month break after this One Deck 1 Month because of YCS preparation, and I don't want to be learning a completely new deck 1 month out of the YCS. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you want to see more of my content, click on one of the videos popping up on the bottom of the screen right now. And as always, Winner Kills signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And like always, a huge shout out goes to our Divine level channel members who are Tweeter0226, Pony Star, Cadillacs84, Keith Sidders, Justin Lamb, Master of Isa, and HDH Cyber. Thank you guys so much as always for your extremely kind and generous support of the channel.